Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for Ted Lasso Season 4, Episode 3. This is an episode that I think is much better than the premiere when it
Mhm.
comes to getting us in Richmond, getting us to know a lot of these people. I think Episode 2 was better just when it comes to like introducing characters, conflicts, and I also just have a very, very bizarre issue with like a huge punchline in this episode. We spent so much time talking about Susan Boyle, and we even
So much time talking about Susan Boyle. Like, I get it.
I get it, and I mean you even bring it back in the closing credits and all of that. But just to give you guys a peek behind the curtain here, Jess and I we first started covering television news professionally right around Susan Boyle's first Britain's Got
Right.
Talent audition. And I think it's maybe because we're so immersed in this world, but
Mhm.
it's like Ted, I'm guessing, is maybe a few years older than me. Like, I'm in my late 30s. I kind of feel like he's early to mid 40s, somewhere around that. I cannot buy that Ted has never heard of Susan Boyle. It just blows. Like, when she was doing that audition, that was like one of the biggest viral videos in the history of YouTube.
I have a very, very hard time thinking that he doesn't know who she is. Like, even over here across the pond in
Yes,
America, up in Canada at that time, Susan Boyle was everywhere. She was on every single show. It was such huge pop culture news that
yes.
even if you weren't really on the internet, you knew who she was. I really had a hard time believing that he didn't know either.
All the morning shows out here were doing like an all-out brawl to try to get like her first
Oh,
US
yes.
interview. Like it was so crazy. Like that took me out of the show a little bit. I mean, Brett, I know that it doesn't really affect that much when it comes to the story and the conflicts of this episode. Like there is a big question about Roy Kent coming out of all of this, and that is,
Hmm.
is Roy actually going to end up joining this women's team as a coach at some point in the near future?
Yeah, I'm feeling like they are really setting this up for next season, and I hope that they do wait until next season so that we still have him around, but he's not just part of the team. It's basically we're just back into Ted Lasso 1, 2, 3, where the whole group is together right away. And
Yeah.
it does feel like they're taking their time with it, which I really appreciate.
We'll get more into the evidence of this, everything else from this episode, getting to see Shannon back in what kind of feels like a nice little full circle moment for this show.
Mhm.
But be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here covering Ted Lasso all season long, sharing theories and having a really good time with you guys in the comments as well.
Absolutely. We are also covering Silo here
Hmm.
right now. We have a lot of really fun shows coming up in the fall. So hit that subscribe button and stick with us.
Thank you guys.
Okay, let's talk about Roy
Yeah.
coming over to the women's team. Is that something that could be coming up? Because during a press conference, he was asked about his contract
Mhm.
coming to an end at the end of this season. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it feels very much then that like his contract is going to come to an end at the end of the season. And he's going to be asked to join Ted and Beard and Chilton, and that he will go over.
Yeah, I think this is the real thing here is that it's great to have Brett on the show. Like I've said, Roy's my favorite character, but it's very hard, I think, long term to continuously include him when he is off doing his own thing with this other team. Like, they're going to be at their own arenas, doing their own matches. Like, we
Mhm.
even saw this in this episode. Like, he's sending messages and support to Keeley from afar. Like, that works once or twice. If you do it for a whole season, unless you're just gonna write Brett off the show, which I don't think anyone in their right mind would want, like how do you keep this dynamic going?
Yeah, I think you can keep it going for just this season,
Mm,
and because it's the first season of the women's team. I know it's the fourth season, but it's a
mm.
it's the first season of the women's team. We're not going to see them all of a sudden just explode. Everything's
No.
amazing. They're winning everything. I think we're going to have, as we did with Ted Lasso 1, 2, 3, where it's like the beginning of it is really rough. They
Mm.
end up needing more help. They got to do things differently to try to get them up the next season. And I think that's what's going to happen is they'll have a couple of like more personal wins throughout the first season, but they're not going to get to where they need to get to. And the three coaches that we have here are then going to be like, you know what? Roy's contract is over. He could be signing back on with them again, but let's try to get him over here instead and try to offer him something to come over here. And, you know, Keely's working over here as well. And this is something that they're trying to do the will they, won't they. We all know that they will by the end
Yes.
of it, but I'm sure they want to have Roy back with Keely in that way. And I think besides helping the women's team, she's definitely going to be a draw for that.
Yeah, I think there's really three very big reasons why Roy would want to do this. And number one, yeah, definitely is Keely. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity to spend more time with her, do something that's really in support of her. And I mean, two, from a business standpoint, like, yeah, the reality is that women's teams don't produce the same amount of revenue. Coaches, players don't get paid as much. But the thing about Roy, he is a legend. He has had a full career
Mhm.
in football. He's also had a contract coaching the men's team. He's not going to be in a space where he is hard pressed for money, and like it will give him more flexibility to kind of pursue what are things that make me happy, what are things that satisfy me. And then this brings us over to Phoebe, because I don't think it's any coincidence that Phoebe and her friends are helping to supply some of the kits
Yeah.
in this episode. It's evidence that Phoebe is very invested in women's soccer. And I think,
Yes.
Roy doesn't have kids of his own, but this is a way for him to be that family man and do something that I think Phoebe is really going to appreciate. And it's going to be very, very endearing for him as a person.
Yeah, I think throughout watching the show with Roy and Phoebe, that
Yeah.
relationship is just so wholesome and so endearing. Watching him even sitting there in those socks and getting that idea for the kids and, you know, sending her over with all her friends to help out Keely. I think because Phoebe is so invested in this soccer team, is like, oh my goodness, we have like a women's soccer team. This is so cool. I think that just personally, he's going to want to be part of that to make Phoebe proud of him.
Yeah, I think all of this lines up. And I think the other thing here is that if you're suddenly like, oh no, we still have to represent the men's team in some way, who can we bring to coach the men's team? That is where Nate comes right in. You can bring, like, Nate has been a persona non grata for the first part of this season. We don't really know anything about what's happening with this guy, but I like to think that he has already made amends. He was already working with the men's team
Yeah.
at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
That's a way you could bring him back and give a little bit of nostalgia, but also make everybody kind of collectively feel okay. The men's team is going to be fine because they have Nate. Nate's learned all this stuff from Roy,
Right.
from Ted. He's going to be good. And now we can bring Roy over here, and that'll be more than okay here as well.
Yeah.
So the other, I think, really, really big takeaway from this episode is, all right, we have a classic dilemma here where the team's without a striker. You can't play soccer without a striker. I haven't played soccer since I was 9 years old. I still realize that this is very, very important. They have all these trials, and this leads us to Shannon, a character who has been sort of in the background over the first 3 seasons, kind of coming full circle and making it back into the show.
Absolutely. And it was cool to see where it was like, she's not the best, but
Mhm.
there's potential there. And sometimes you just need to give a shot to somebody. And Ted did that.
Yeah, and I think that's Ted. Like, that's, of course, the thing that he was going to do. And I think this is where, yes, this show can be predictable, but I think they also do not want us to feel bad about something like this, right? Like, you have the story thread that you're able to continue here. You're able to sort of show that this is who Ted is. He's going to be invested in the people who he knows personally really, really want this, and he knows how bad she wants it because he has seen it with his own eyes.
Okay, let's talk about Chilton and Gemma and what's going on here with this relationship,
Yeah.
because Gemma has said the reason that I stopped playing soccer and I moved into going to school is because of the way that you treated me. You
Mhm.
treated me so badly and you were so hard on me that it just broke my self-confidence down, that I'm not willing to come onto this women's team. Of course, she eventually meets Ted and is like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
But Chilton has learned nothing from it. She's still like picking at her and
Yeah.
and so hard on her. And I got to sit back and be like, what is the reason for this? Like, why are you picking on her the way that you're picking on her? If you're doing it because you think it makes her a better player or it hardens her up or any of these other things, then that's not believable enough for me because you've already tried to do it this way
Mhm.
and she quit. So that didn't actually end up toughening her up and really pushing her harder to be even better because you really believe in her, and that type of coaching just didn't work for this person because coaching works in different ways for other people.
Yeah.
I'm a person that would not, be okay with that kind of coaching. That doesn't make me feel like I want to do better. That makes me feel like I'm doing terrible. And why am I even on this team? And I'm going to go get into law now.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I want to be encouraged. I want to be nurtured. I want to feel like, okay, you have my back. And yeah, you call me out for my mistakes, but you
Right.
also tell me how to get better, give me advice, suggestions. And I feel, and we don't know Chilton well enough to know as of yet, but because she is a former player, maybe she is just thinking from this mindset of, I'm going to teach people the same exact way that people taught me. And like, that's going to be the only way that I can go about this, but it is sort of just like you said, what worked for you, if that's even what worked for you, that's not going to work for everybody else.
Well, it's also tough because she's not really coaching the rest of the women like that. We haven't seen her behaving that way and really breaking people down on the team. The team actually seems to really like her, and we've seen her very caring with the team. But Gemma comes in and it's pick, 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 very, very negative on her and not in a way that is constructive. You're going to, shoot down something about how she's played or what she's done, but not actually tell her how to do it better. This is not helpful in any kind of way. And so my tinfoil hat
Hmm.
is she just sees herself in Gemma and she lost her own opportunities and she wants to make sure that Gemma doesn't do it. And she's taking her own negativity that she's piled on herself out on this person.
And that makes sense. And I think she's probably frustrated that's, oh, injuries took this away from me. And you are just like voluntarily going away from this when you
Right.
still are talented and still have an opportunity to do it. Like that has to be frustrating. And that's where Ted's inevitably going to be stepping in here at some point
Mm-hmm.
because, this is his skill sets, human behavior. He's going to see what's going on here. And because, in the traditional sports movie slash TV trope, Gemma comes in at the last second during the match, ends up scoring
Of
a
course.
goal. And so it's just they need her. They desperately need her. But
Mhm.
if Alice keeps acting this way towards Gemma, it's like, what's the benefit of staying on a team when doing something you like doesn't actually make you happy?
Yeah, you have to have balance with it. It's no one wants to go into a job and be berated every day.
Okay, let's just let out a deep sigh here because I do have to talk about this Rebecca and, pilot guy romance subplot that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it feels a lot like they are trying to get them set up to be broken up. I mean, he even said that he understands that he came out during a time that she is extremely busy, that they
Mhm.
normally see each other on the weekends when she has more free time, and he has shown up while she's in her busy work period. So it's difficult for her to just drop everything to continue to be there. She's, the owner of this team and is really trying to balance things out with a team that's not profitable right now. So I see both sides where I see that he's really frustrated she's not able to keep their dates, but also you showed up at a time that she is unable to keep those dates. So
Mhm.
you can't be mad at her when she's unable to show up.
I just feel like if they're gonna split these two up, just go ahead and do it, please. It's just like I know because you kept them together at the end of last season, you probably feel like you need to play all of this out. It's just that, yeah, this whole storyline could be seeds that are being planted towards a potential breakup. And it does just feel like, and I hate to say this in a way, but this relationship, it doesn't really provide a lot of conflict that's beneficial for the show. Like I was watching the whole thing play out and it just sort of felt like a standard sitcom episode where it's like, oh, they have their issues and oh, they eventually find a way to eat together at the end and then there's some other sort of laugh. Like unless this is going to a breakup, it's not really going anywhere. And I want to see Rebecca in situations that are more tied to, the rest of the cast. Even if it's not romantic with Ted, but just see her reacting to what's going on with the women's team. Chilton coming on board fully, like whatever tension is left there with the two of them, talking with Higgins about finances, like all these things that are more relevant to the main story.
Yeah, like if they wanted to have a romance with her, it doesn't have to be with Ted, but it would have been a lot more interesting and kept within the story
Mm,
if it was attached to the team in some sort of way, whether it was an investor
mhm.
or a sponsor or whoever it is. That way, it's still really part of the story because this part of it feels like it's completely out of the story. That's like, oh, we have everything with Ted Lasso here,
Yes.
and then we have this other thing going on that's not really part of the show.
Yeah, and like Apple's clearly trying to limit the runtime of these episodes. They're trying not
Mhm.
to do these hour and 15-minute things
Thank
anymore.
you.
Yes, and it's just like if you're going to compress it in this way, compress it by giving us everything related to the show. This feels like an unnecessary side plot, and this episode could have really been either 38, 39 minutes, or you go back over 40, but give Rebecca more to do when it actually comes to the team.
Yeah.
But that is where we are coming out of Ted Lasso season 4, episode 3. Do you guys feel like Roy is on the path to joining the women's team? If so,
Mhm.
how do you think it's going to play out? Thank you so much. Hit that
Thank you.
subscribe button, and we will see you here next time.